When you have an old HP computer, the graphic card is full of dust and the power supply exploded and it was done, the best thing you can do is buy a new one. But this time the owner take care of it and there was no dust inside, so we said let's go get our tools like a screwdriver and toothbrush from the store so we can bring his device back to working like before, and also without him noticing anything. And the first thing we did was leave the power supply cable unplugged so the power supply wouldn't blow up again, and once we opened it we found that was pretty clean and didn't have too much dust. Then we took out the CMOS battery which was hidden to reset the system back to factory setting. Then we grabbed our screwdriver and removed the graphics card to clean both the card and its slot on the motherboard, and we also took out the RAM to clean it, as you can see, to make sure the slots were completely dust free. And here I kind of take back what I said, because the device actually had some dust inside and needed cleaning, so we used the duster to get all the dust outside. Then we used the toothbrush sucked in thinner to clean the RAM slots and also the graphic card slot to clean out any dust or even oxidation, because the thinner takes care of all of that. And to make sure the thinner had fully dried, we kept our small fan running on the device to dry up any remaining residue, and we set aside the RAM and the graphic card to clean them. And here we are using an eraser for two reasons. First, it removes all the dust and even any rust on the copper pins. Second, it helps restoring the parts to like a new condition without moving anything from its position. And then when we looked at the graphic card, I thought there might be some dust inside, so we gave it a nice blow of air, but unfortunately the dust went everywhere. So we decided that was enough for now and move on to the hard drive. And first we took out the SSD and connected it to our PC, and one HD essential, and it showed 99% health. As for the actual transfer speed, we tested it and got around 400 megabytes per second, which is really good speed for SATA SSD. And lastly, we used a Trox screwdriver to unscrew the rack with the hard drive inside it. Then we used the Heron's boot CD to check the HDD, and it showed 100% health. We also ran the hard drive through regenerator to see if there were any bad sectors, and that's it. And we put the graphic card in its place and installed it probably, and we also installed the RAM to turn on the PC, and of course we connect the power. And no, if we connect the power and the power supply blows up like last time, there won't be anyone left to break, I mean to fix computers for you to watch. So we went and got another power supply that we could use to power the PC, and we installed it in the case, as you can see, and we connect the power cable, and finally it's working and started displaying an image on the screen. And at this point I can confidently say that the issue was with the power supply, like we didn't see it blow up earlier. We also had to tell the owner that the power supply was bad and needed repair. Then we took the power supply, and before making any adjustment, we found a rubber band tied around the cables for cable management. Then we took the power supply to Uncle-Gad, and he said, no my friend, first clean the power supply from all the dust, then you can come by. So as usual we just went along with him. Then we gave the power supply a good blast of air to make all the dust disappear, and we took the power supply back to Uncle-Gad, and of course we didn't tell him it explodes when you plug it in, and he was very happy. And then he took the power, and after connecting it he said what, 1 more hour. Then he started dancing in a strange way, and we will come back later just like he said. Then we removed the cables tie we saw earlier and laid all of the wires out side by side. Then we began unscrewing it, but one screw was a little stuck and I still had some extra electricity from the power supply check earlier, so I grabbed a German screwdriver that can remove any screw without delay, and one by one the screw came out right away. Then we opened the power supply and started looking for where the problem was, and we discovered that the coil leg in front of us had a broken solder joint, and that was the source of the fireworks that were exploding. So we turned on the soldering iron right away and fixed it with some solder. Then we hooked up the tester to see if the power supply would work or not, and we connect the power cable, and the power and thank God it worked perfectly on the first try without any problems. So we put the power supply face and secured all the screws in place. Then we put the power supply back in place as before, and everything looked fine or even more. And we connect the power cable and turned on the PC, and thank God it's working and started displaying an image on the screen. Then we needed to check the SIMOS battery and see if it was still working, and we checked it with multimeter and it didn't seem like it needed replacement. Then we put it back in place and powered it on, and everything looked clean. But as you can see, the device isn't showing anything on the screen. So before I losing my mind, I said another graphic card is the best thing we can find, and after we put it back in place, the PC worked fine and booted into Windows with no issues. And that's where the problem is with the graphics card. Sometime it boots into the BIOS screen, then it disappears and we get a black screen, and sometime it just shows a black screen right from the start. And at this point we said business is business, so we pulled out the graphics card and went straight to Uncle-Gad and told him this card has a problem, it needs someone to fix him. So he went ahead and took it from me, and he looked very happy as you can see. And the first thing we did was unscrew the screws to take off the heatsink, and ignoring the small amount of dust on the card. This issue basically means one thing: the GPU die is starting to die, and we only get one try with this, which is heating it with hot air around 400 degrees. Then we wait for it to cool down completely and replace the thermal paste. Then we screw everything back in place and take the card to test it, and we connect the power cable and turn it on the PC. But unfortunately nothing happens, like we didn't do anything at all. And then we took the card back and went to Uncle-Gad to face him. And before I even knock, he stared at me like a rock. So he doesn't commit a crime. I said I will come back in another time. So we took off the heatsink and heated the chip one last time. Then we replaced the thermal base and put the screws back in place. But unfortunately the card was still dead and wasn't showing anything. But when we plugged the monitor into the integrated graphics card, the PC boots up without any problems. And that's mean it's time to say goodbye to this graphics card. And we had to make sure everything else was working fine. So we checked the BIOS setting and made sure the audio and the internet were working fine. And it's going to need a specialist to repair the GPU. And if the owner has enough money, he will get it back like new. And that's it. And we reached the end of the video, and I hope you learned something useful. This was your brother Gad, and see you in the next video.